Hey everybody, Michael Koff here. I am going to talk today about my sacred journey to sacred Egypt. I am wearing my sash that I got in Egypt. That was really beautiful and really reminds me of the sacredness of the land and the adventure that I went on. And so how the adventure started was I have a friend who's a famous author named William Henry, and he and his wife take trips to Egypt, to Italy, to France, to he does tours in Nashville. And so I have been to Nashville with him, and it was a birthday week, so I decided to take him up on an offer to experience Egypt. Now, Egypt is a very sacred land, and his tour involved a river cruise. So we were able to stay at a really nice place while we were on land in Cairo and did a river cruise as well to go visit different temples. And I'm going to share with you how that journey was, what I experienced, and hopefully may inspire a few of you to take a journey that you've always wanted to go on. Now, when we were staying at our hotel in Cairo, behind us you could see the Giza pyramids, and that was a very cool experience to see them so close and to be able to wake up and walk outside your room and see that was a really cool thing. And the compound we stayed at had gardens as well. And so we needed, for security, to have an escort when we would go shopping in town because, we're foreigners and sometimes, you know, they want to make sure you have a great experience. So it was quite a unique experience. And as we left the compound and went to our boat, we went to a bunch of different islands and different temples. And so one of the temple island areas that we went to was Luxor, and we got to travel by bus to Hatshepsut's temple. We got to go to the Valley of the Kings and Queens, and we also got to see the Luxor temple. Now, Hatshepsut's temple is built in the side of a mountain and is a really cool um, temple that's filled with a lot of hieroglyphs, a lot of stories and hieroglyphs, and is very intricately done. It is definitely a place you ought to visit if you make it to Egypt. And the Valley of the Kings and Queens, we got to experience going into a tomb that was recently discovered and to see the hieroglyphs and the stories of what was being told there was truly inspiring. To think you're one of the first few people to see this after thousands of years is quite a experience. And the Luxor Temple, to be able to step where you've seen in TV shows and movies and other books, all these pictures, And it's really inspiring and empowering to know that you're walking in the same footsteps and the same sand as those who created it thousands of years ago. And there's just something about that that just makes you awe-inspired and more connected to the land and more connected to the area, I think. There's a definite energy of Egypt that is to be experienced, in my opinion. Now, near Luxor is Karnak, and Karnak has the Avenue of the Sphinxes. What's remaining of them, it is truly inspiring to walk along that and know royalty or visiting dignitaries would have walked this path thousands of years ago. And the Karnak Temple complex is just awe-inspiring. And we also, on this trip, were able to go to Aswan, which has the Temple de Kom Omombo, which was really cool to experience. It's a double temple to two different gods. And also, when we were in Aswan, we had to get up super early in the morning to experience sunrise at Philae. Now, Philae is a sacred temple island dedicated to the goddess Isis. And that was just awe-inspiring to sit there and watch the sunrise and just feel the energy of the temple just resonating, and to think and feel that this is what it was like for all the people who were worshiping the gods and goddesses of Egypt and everyday life, that to wake up and have that experience would just be so empowering and so amazing, in my opinion. And another location that we went to that's pretty popular is Dendera, which has the Temple of Hathor. And Hathor is one of the goddesses of love and fertility, depending on who you talk to, but mainly about love. And you can definitely feel when you're reading the hieroglyphs and you're looking at the stories on the walls and the paintings that they did, how each of these temples resonates with a different aspect of our senses and our chakras, our chi energy, our core. And as you walk through the Temple of Hathor, you cannot help but feel love for the land and love all around. And so that is part of the magic of going and experiencing these sacred temples and this sacred journey, is to connect to that emotion and that part of you. Now, we did end up having some fun in Edfu, where we were going to go to a temple there, and you had to go by cart. And so all of us, when we got off the boat, decided to let's have some fun. We all got into our carts, and we asked the drivers if it was okay to race to the temple. And sure enough, they said yes. And so we had ourselves a little cart race in Edfu to go visit the Temple of Edfu. And I have, later on in this video, attached will be some photographs of the cart race that we used. My friend Angela was my partner in the race, And I've also included photos of some of the temples, some of the hieroglyphs, some of the artwork, and some of the mysteries that we were unable to explain that happened while we were there at different locations. Now, one place that I had always wanted to visit because I watched TV shows like Stargate SG-1 and the movie Stargate and read all the books is a famous location known as Abydos. And we were able to go, and I was excited to experience Abydos. And in walking in one of the temples of Abydos, there is a photo I enclosed where the light comes in and the light shines so bright that it's, in sacred terms, like an ascension light, to where it totally blinds out whatever's in it. And so all of us took a turn standing with our faces in the light, and as you see in the photo that's enclosed, our faces disappear and all you see is a shaft of light. And that is a really empowering experience, I found. And I also found that it really helps to put things in perspective of whatever we're dealing with, how the land and everything around us can help us bring clarity and understanding, and also how magical the land and everything around us is. Now, we also went to the Temple of Dendera in Abydos and got to see a lot of hieroglyphs, including the famous helicopter hieroglyph, which I've included a photo of to show you how high it was in the ceiling. And there's also an hieroglyph of a plane and a submarine, and these were all carved thousands of years ago. And airplanes, submarines, and helicopters are not even really that old, maybe 100 years old. So how they have hieroglyphs of them is beyond me. But I personally believe they had knowledge of our future that we didn't know. But that's my personal opinion, and I leave it up to you to look at the hieroglyphs and see what you think, and to do your own homework. And one of the locations we got to go to in Abydos was the famous Assyrian, which is where, if memory serves right, is the location where Osiris's body parts were brought back together and he became the god of the underworld. And along a lot of the areas of where this Assyrian was, you could go down and you would find the sacred geometrical symbol, the flower of life, located in many places in the Assyrian, which I can't help but feel like is kind of an empowering symbol to show that yes, this is a place where life can be reborn. The energy is really strong there. And as you go along this river cruise with my friend, who's the author, he talks too about what the sacredness of where you're going is and what it means and how it affects the energy of the body. And so you get a really cool experience knowing what's coming, being in it, walking in the footsteps of the ancients, and it's just an experience you really have to experience to truly understand it. Now, one of the cool things was we learned that the Nile as it flows today is not the original flowing of the Nile from thousands of years ago, that the Nile actually got redirected due to flooding of some of the temples and wanting to build a temple in a certain location. And so they actually moved a river and was able to build land, and that's where it is today. And so it is really empowering to learn that the ancients had the wisdom to move a river, build structures that are standing today out of stone, and making artwork that even to this day we truly can look at, and depending on who you talk to will have different explanations as to what it means. So that is a really cool piece of it, and just brings to light the mystery of the land and what life was like back then. Now, as we were traveling to some of the locations, we passed by a mountain on our bus ride, and a friend, my friend that ran the tour, just William Henry, asked if anybody was aware of the Nag Hammadi scrolls. And of course, we raised our hand because we were. And he said, if you look out the window, you'll see the mountains where it was discovered. And so that was a really cool experience to see, where these sacred scrolls that a lot of people read and are in astonishment about, to see the location where it was discovered was just wow. Now, when we were in Cairo, we took a trip up to Giza to see the pyramids, and this was on my birthday. Now, it astonished me because we all hear about the three great pyramids of Egypt, to learn there was actually 9 or more pyramids on Giza, and that everybody only takes photos of a certain angle so that you only see the 3 of them. And there was a famous ship discovered there, and at the foot of the pyramids is the Sphinx. And we were able to go down and be one with the Sphinx. You could touch it, you could stand in front of it, and so it was really cool to be in the presence of such a famous landmark, and to know that this has stood the test of time, and what incredible detailing it had, and the energy from it. And when we were going up to the Great Pyramid, we were granted access to go actually inside the Great Pyramid, and climbed all the way into the Great King's tomb area of the Great Pyramid. Now, one thing you'll have to understand is you gotta crawl up some stairs to get, or I say stairs, they're actually steps that are carved into stone to get up to these levels and hutch down and crawl through some very narrow openings to get to these chambers. And when we entered the king's chamber, there was a black sarcophagus that the lid was removed, but it looked to be made of black obsidian type material, and it was solid. And it was way bigger than the opening to the chamber, so it really begged the question, because it's so high, how it got in there, why it was in there. But one of the experiences we got was we all sat around it and just felt the energy. And then we took turns one by one entering into the sarcophagus. And you would just lay there, close your eyes. They'd ask you to cross your arms. And you got to experience what it would feel like to be in this final resting place. And William took a tuning fork and would tap a certain spot, and then he would, when it was activated, set it on the sarcophagus, and you could hear how it was resonating with the area and the land, and it really transferred your consciousness to another state, and you really felt like you. And it was, I honestly experienced when in the sarcophagus, feeling like my consciousness traveled back in time, through time, to just different places, and it was a truly spiritual experience, a truly empowering experience, and an experience that I will always cherish for my birthday. And my roommate for this trip also had his birthday on the same day. So everybody that was a part of our group, when we went to dinner, decided to throw us a birthday party, which was really touching and really sweet, and was a really fun experience. And there was just part of the sacredness too, is when you watch the sunset, to see the sun setting the same way the pharaohs did and the people of the ancient times did. And just knowing as you're floating along the Nile that everything you're seeing is what the people of the past saw, because the landscape has changed so little, that is a very cool and truly inspiring and empowering and self-reflective experience that I don't know how many other places around this world you can get. And one of the final locations we went to was Saqqara, where we went to the Serapeum. Now, in the Serapeum, we went to the lower section of a discovered pyramid and found chambers where their sarcophaguses of ancient kings, pharaohs, priests, or people were at. And one of the things that was very interesting was you could go down to see some of them up close and feel the energy coming from them. But also, I have included the photo and I zoomed in and cropped in it to show a better image of it. Is when I was taking pictures, this mysterious blue light appeared in one of my photos, and it was really weird too because it was in the corner near a sarcophagus, but there was no blue lights around. There's no explanation for why this blue light even appeared. And so, as I wrap up this video of the sacred river land cruise that I took with my dear friend William Henry, his wife Claire, and friends that I had recently met that I still keep in touch with here and there, and will always cherish this, that I have included at the end of this video a short video of pictures that I personally took, and included the ascension photo, the blue lights, and pictures of the carts and different hieroglyphs, and just trying to share with those who cannot make it just the beauty and wonder that is Egypt. And if you ever do get the chance to go, I know my friend William Henry still offers Sacred Egypt tours twice a year, I believe. If you go to his website, williamhenry.net, I believe it is. I'll make sure and put it in the description. A link to his website that, if you get the chance, I highly recommend taking it. And if you can't, I hope that this video has helped to bring awareness of the beauty of Egypt and the sacredness to you. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy my photos that are to follow. And if you want to hear more about more of my paranormal journey, or places I've been to, or other adventures that I'll have, or if you just have interest in similar things that I do, please feel free to like this video and subscribe and follow along on the journey. And may you have many blessings, and see you on the next journey.